Hey guys, this is John, and special treat today. I'm playing Christof Sielecki, that's Chess Explained, in a 5+1 Blitz game. Christof is currently doing his weekly stream on ICC, so I just happened to be on and I caught him. So we're going to play a little game, see how this goes. And it looks like he's offering to transpose into like a Maroczy bind in this position. I don't know a whole lot about the Maroczy bind from the black side, so I'm going to refrain from doing that. I'm going to go here, and maybe we'll get some sort of like Benoni defense out of this. Not my usual repertoire, but yeah, it's good to experiment in Blitz, and I like the fact that I can play different things without too many repercussions. I actually wonder if he's going to hit me with like an early bishop f4, maybe, is his idea. I can play queen a5 here, that would be interesting, just to threaten knight takes e4. So maybe I'll do that. And just have some knight takes e4 idea brewing, let's say. It would be very difficult to defend d6. Like, I'm not going to play king e7 in that position, so we'll see what happens with this queen a5 move. It's certainly interesting. So I'll probably be looking to just give up this d6 pawn early. I might have learned my lesson last time against Christof in playing some theoretical stuff against him. I think his theoretical knowledge in the opening is very, very good, better than mine. And I remember a game we played in the Slav where he played queen c2 on move 4, and he knew quite a bit about that variation, so hence why I'm playing g6 against him this time. I'm just going to try to make him think a little bit more in the opening, maybe take him out of his comfort zone a little bit. Obviously, it's very hard against a strong player like Christof, but you know, for the moment at least, he's thinking. So yeah, this works out well that he does these Monday shows on ICC, and Monday afternoon I'm usually not doing a whole lot. Monday tends to be one of my slower work days, and I'm kind of just getting into the day gradually. So yeah, just hopped on and played him. So I wonder what he's going to do in this position. I mean, he could play queen d2, but if he plays queen d2, he can't take on d6 so easily. So if queen d2, I might just play, you know, let's say knight c6 and kind of proceed from there. That's a sensible move. I wonder if his idea is if knight h5, he's going to go back to d2 with the bishop in order to defend c3. I have half a mind just to play knight c6 and pitch the pawn. I think that would be interesting. But I don't know. Knight c6, bishop takes d6, let's say rook d8, e5. What is going on in that position? Hard to say. What else makes sense here? Knight a6 maybe to try to come to b4? I have a fundamental decision to make as far as how I want to play this. I mean, knight h5 seems like a sensible move too, but knight c6 would be the move I'd really like to play. Knight c6, bishop takes c6, rook d8, e5. Let's say knight g4. Don't quite know about that. It looks okay, but then again, knight h5 is probably the more sensible move. I'm just going to go here. I'm going to see if he'll take it. It's interesting. I haven't really calculated everything, but I think it'll be interesting if he does take it. And he doesn't. Okay. Kind of figured he wouldn't. Now I'm seeing that if rook d8, knight b5 might be a problem. D8, knight b5. Well, let's do rook d8 anyways. If knight b5, maybe I'll just go king e7. And, wow, I can't believe I'm actually considering this, playing with my king in the center like that. It's maybe not the best thing in the world. Plays knight d5 instead. I think knight b5 would have been perhaps a bit more testing. Probably I should just castle, but if I castle maybe bishop g5, he's got some edge there. What else could I think about playing here? I think castling is probably just smart. Yeah, let's castle. Yeah, I think his position is better, for sure. I'm not super happy about this position. Bishop g5 makes a good deal of sense. You could play bishop d2 maybe to kick my queen. But bishop g5 is probably what he'll settle on, because it forces me to play bishop takes d5, and then I think either capture should be pretty decent for him. I think I would expect him to take with the e-pawn if I had to bet there. If bishop d2, I have to play queen a6. There's no other real good move with my queen, right? So it's a little unfortunate that I have to do this. Despite the unusual opening, I think I'm doing okay in this position. I mean, this isn't a disaster quite yet. Okay, bishop c3, maybe knight h5 is a good move. Knight h5 and just try to exchange the dark square bishops. I can play bishop takes d5. After that, I mean, his knight is menacing. I have to get rid of this knight sooner rather than later. But I can't take it right now because he takes with the c-pawn, and that's unpleasant for me. So, okay, queen h2, or queen d2 rather, that's a very decent move. What if I take on c3, he takes with the queen, I play bishop g4 perhaps? I don't like allowing his queen to that square though. That makes me nervous. That definitely makes me nervous. I think I'm going to go bishop g4. Is that okay? Yeah, I like bishop g4. And if he takes, I'll take with my king. And if he goes queen c3 check, I'll have to play f6. But I think that's okay, because I'm trying to focus on like the e5 and the d4 squares is what I'm going after with this move. So that's what I'm playing for. So queen c3 check, f6. If knight g5 then, I think it's kind of a toothless threat. I could play knight d4 if I really wanted to cover e6 better. My queen is like pretty horribly offsides in this position, but I don't think that matters a whole lot. I think overall that's okay for me. Yeah, now f6, right? I do like the fact that I'm going to be forcing him to a decision with this piece soon. Maybe bishop e2 is good, though. Bishop e2 trying to highlight the, not helplessness, but inflexibility of this knight on h5. That one might not be so bad. If bishop e2, I might play queen a5 and just play for an endgame. It's actually not a bad idea. He runs away with the knight instead. I think I still might go queen a5. I very much like the look of this move. Because his queen is a lot better than mine. I could jump into, let's say d4 or e5 with my knight right away, but I think I like activating the queen, and it wasn't doing anything on a6, so why keep it there for much longer? I think my position is getting better and better. At least I've overcame a lot of the difficulties I had earlier on in this one. So he declines the queen trade. Is knight e5 unpleasant for him? Knight e5, his bishop has to go somewhere awkward. So there's that. How stable is my knight on that square, though? Maybe knight d4? Knight d4, he has knight b3. So knight e5, he can play, let's say, bishop c2, something along those lines. I don't know. Not completely sure. I think I might just go... Also, he's going to go knight b3 and kick my queen away. Maybe rook de8 makes sense. Yeah, let's go rook de8. Idea of this move is just to give my queen a retreat square to d8. Also covers e7 a little bit better. I don't know that knight e7 ever would be a concern, but I want to be able to retreat this queen when he goes knight b3. He's getting very low on time. We are playing with a 1 second increment, so that helps him a bit. But still, 20 seconds is not a lot of time. I'm going to be pressuring him on the clock. That's for sure. Okay, now that he plays that, I kind of want to go knight d4. I think this is more threatening now that he doesn't have that square available. I'd expect knight b3 here. He plays it. Do I have any tactics? Any tactics present in the position? Doesn't look like it. Let's just take here first. Let's take here and then go queen d6. And I'm trying to get my knight into f4. Maybe I'll play a timely f5. He can't play g3 because I take it, and I think that's bad news for him if he allows that. So yeah, he's going to try to stick the bishop on f1. Let's go here. And I'll advance the c-pawn, play b5 now. Well, that's interesting. Let's go here. Okay, maybe f5, maybe this.
Check.
I'm going to go b4 after this now. Just try to pressure him with these pawns. Very much pressure his position. Yeah, these pawns are very tough to stop. He's going to have a heck of a time dealing with those. Yeah, okay, so now I can take, but how good is that? I think it is good. Okay, and I won. Yeah, that was certainly interesting. I'm going to grab a new board just because like Christof might want to look at that on that board. So let's just take a look at this. Flip this around to look at it from my perspective. So I played this kind of potentially dodgy setup. I think technically I should take on d4, and after c takes d4, knight takes d4, play knight c6, and kind of go from there. But I decided to play it in kind of creative fashion with d6. And he went d5, and I played knight f6. So now we're in a Benoni after e6. Or what I thought would have been a Benoni, although maybe this highlights the defect in my move order when he has bishop f4. I thought queen a5 was a decent practical try to at least give him some stuff to think about with knight takes e4. I wonder if the computer approves of this. Let's just have a look. Yeah, queen a5. So it says that white is a lot better here. Bishop d3 is a good move. Knight c6. So I wonder if he could grab this pawn. I was going to play rook d8. I was not going to castle queenside. I think I would have played rook d8. And then after e5, go knight g4 and try to win that e-pawn. It's kind of unclear, though. I was wondering about castles, take, and maybe knight b5. Trying to utilize the c7 square. But I guess rook d7 covers. Uh-huh. It just makes me nervous to keep my king in the center like this. That's definitely concerning. Yeah, so rook d8 might have given me good play. So it seems he was correct just to castle. And then I played rook d8, and now knight d5 is good. What about knight b5 in this position? Knight b5, I have to put just castle and pitch the pawn on d6. I mean, I was thinking about this move, although I was looking at crazy stuff like what if he takes and I take like this,
Check.
and then he goes like e5 or something.
Check.
Drag my king way out into the center if I want to avoid losing material. Or yeah,
Check.
bishop c2 check looks good here. The king is forced away, and then he can take my knight. So it would have been challenging if he had played knight b5. Apparently castling is okay for me, but how does that work? Castling, take, a6, okay. Idea if bishop takes f8, I take on b5, I assume? No, I'll take on f8, okay. Then maybe the pressure against the bishop on d3 gives me compensation. Yeah, it's all very complicated. So he might have passed up a couple lines, a couple options to make it more challenging for me in practice. So the knight b5 move or the capture on d6 would have been interesting to see how that played out. But objectively speaking, he's still playing strong moves. Knight d5, and then forced my queen to a passive square. I kept thinking he would play the bishop to g5 to force my hand and pin the knight, make me take on d5 with the bishop, so he at least gains the bishop pair by doing that. Oh, actually here, if the queen is on a6 and he takes back with the c-pawn, this is a double attack on my queen plus the knight. So I would have had to play c4. Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about this at all, but it seems like this would be also good for him. Yeah, so I kind of escaped out of the opening. I mean, here I felt the position was perhaps stabilizing a little bit. The computer
Check.
still likes white. Guess that's not too surprising. But yeah, queen a5, and position's getting better and better. Surprised it likes white by this much. Must really place an emphasis on white's space advantage out of this. Yeah, a3, and he was already getting very low on time at this point. We both were, but him more so than me. rest of the game was effectively a time scramble for him. B6, I just solidify my position. He did play knight B3. Yeah, I'm still worse. Queen D6. So like one thing that could have happened is if he just mechanically played G3 in order to keep my knight out of F4 in this position, I can play knight takes G3. And if he takes me, it's all
Check.
over. This is going to happen, and then just a rook lift to the 5th rank, threatening rook H5. It's lights out. So I was trying to play off that fact. I think he came up with a good move, though, rook D1. So now if I play knight F4, he could just retreat to F1, and the bishop is very tighty here, covers his king, covers the E2 square. So in this position, I played rook C8, and yeah, then C4. I kept thinking he was going to play A4 to undermine my pawns, but again, he has like hardly any time. Here, the sacrifice on G3 is not nearly as good, because if I do it, not only is my rook not able to come to the 5th rank so easily, but he also just has the simple move bishop G2. So that's no good for me. So here, probably the place where he maybe could have undermined me was, well, I thought it was right here, but I guess if here I can give this check and then push the pawn. That's why I gave that check on C5, in order to defend my C pawn one more time. So what did he do? He played F4. Yeah, now black has a firm initiative. I get these two connected passers. And his rook's kind of in the way, and yeah, these pawns are probably nearly irresistible. Actually, probably didn't even play it correctly, I think. Well, actually, okay, B3 is good. I thought for a second I had played C2, but I did play B3. Yeah, B2, and then I took here. I was expecting him to play D7. I think I probably would have just played queen takes E5 in that case, yeah. And maintain my two connected passers, and he's at most just going to be down 2 pawns, I think, after he takes one of these. Doesn't have to take it right away, but it's that's what's going to happen. So, yeah, interesting game with Christof. I'm glad I was able to get on here, and he was gracious enough to play me during his broadcast. So thank you, Christof. And I'll be back tomorrow with another Blitz game. If you guys have any feedback, as always, please leave it in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.